the lights along the shore. Some will say they're haunted, some don't exist no more. But anyone who sees them thinks of a bygone day, when the light was brightly flashing, guiding ships along the way.
Over a year ago, Joe Foster approached us at the Historical Association with the idea of marking the gravestone of Captain Donahue here, who had the longest service as a lighthouse keeper in South Haven. So Joe purchased a plaque that the government has made available for lighthouse keepers throughout the country, and we are going to present that plaque here today. Now, after a little further research, we found out that South Haven's first lighthouse keeper is also buried here at the Lakeview Cemetery. So 2 of the 5 lighthouse keepers are with us here. To our surprise, there was no headstone for Captain Byrne, who was the first lighthouse keeper. And so we went to our friends at Phil Brandt Family Funeral Home, and they graciously supplied us with a headstone for his burial site, which we'll go to over here shortly. Now, joining us today is Keenan Hudson from the St. Joseph Coast Guard Station, and Robert Kent, also from the Coast Guard Auxiliary.
We're all here today to honor the memory of those men and women who served as keepers in the United States Lighthouse Service. From isolated duty in the Northwest, some of our nation's largest cities, to here in America's heartland, the keepers performed a vital duty, often in arduous conditions. Despite the worst the sea could throw at the keepers, they diligently kept to their task. Their mission was more than merely keeping the lamp lit. It was to protect the lives of the sailors who endeavored to pass by the hazard they marked. Their service, early in our fledgling country's history, helped to protect and encourage the flow of commerce so vital to a young country trying to establish itself as enduring. Their light would often be the line between safe passage and death for the sailor, guiding them in the fog and the dark to safe haven. When, despite the best efforts, the light failed to ensure a safe passage, the keepers did not content themselves with the knowledge that they had merely kept the lamp lit. Often, they would risk their lives to save those from the ship that foundered on the rocks. Nobody would have blamed them had they not risked their lives, put their lives on the line to rescue the sailors, but service over self was a defining feature of these men and women. And all of this work was necessary, for there's only 2 reasons a keeper could be immediately dismissed from their service. The first was leaving their post without permission, and the second was if the light was ever extinguished for any reason. There were no excuses for it. As the time went on, technology began to phase out the keepers. What remains of their service today is the lighthouses they lived in and tended, managed as part of a system that we now call aids to navigation. So while the lighthouses may have outlasted the keepers, the legacy they left behind will outlast the lighthouses.
We are here today to recognize Captain William P. Bryan, the first keeper of South Haven Lighthouse, and his successor, Captain James S. Donahue. It's my pleasure to join this gathering as a representative of the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary in honoring South Haven's first 2 lighthouse keepers. There are 2 main functions of a lighthouse: to serve as a navigational aid and to warn boats of dangerous areas. It's kind of like a traffic sign on the sea. Lighthouses have served to warn the sailor of dangerous reefs beneath the sea or perilous rocky coasts on land, and to guide ships into safe harbor or back out to sea. So the message of the lighthouse might be, stay away, danger, beware, or come this way. Every lighthouse tells the mariner, this is exactly where you are. To assure that these 2 main functions were fulfilled, the responsibilities of lighthouse keepers in the area of Captain Bryan and Captain Donahue have been described as follows. The job entailed lighting the cast iron lantern each night, keeping meticulous records of weather, visitors, events, or problems encountered, maintaining the keeper's residence, the lighthouse and supplies, plus any necessary repairs. From simple paint jobs to saving sailors' lives from ships stranded near the lakeshore, a lighthouse keeper had to be an incredibly hard work. Another description of the lighthouse keeper's duties included the following: regularly climbing the stairs to check on the light, to keep all the windows clean, to shine the brass in the building, and to maintain a daily log detailing everything going on at the lighthouse. The daily log was mentioned. The matter-of-fact style of James Donahue is found in the following log entries from July 3rd, 1875. Rain and cloudy, wind moderate, lake smooth, the night dark, the weather warm. My wife died this afternoon at 4 p.m. of lung disease. July 4th, the next day. Foggy, windy, the fog thick all day, the lake smooth, the night dark. I buried my wife today at 4 p.m. The dedication of lighthouse keepers such as Captain Bryan and Captain Donahue has been well documented. In an article about James Donahue, Meg Mims wrote that he never missed a day on the job, even if he had to crawl out the pier to do it. Captain Bryan and Captain Donahue and many other lighthouse keepers like them lived a challenging but fulfilling life. Their efforts allowed mariners to reach port safely with their precious cargoes. This was especially true in Michigan, the state that has the most lights of any state with over 150 past and present lights. The lighthouse keepers of our state helped assure safe passage for the commodities that fueled the growth of our country. For example, those commodities included copper and iron ore, commodities that were so important both in peacetime and in times of war. On behalf of the U.S. Coast Guard and the Coast Guard Auxiliary, thank you for providing this much-deserved recognition for Captain Bryan and Captain Donahue. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the Historical Association of South Haven, Michigan Maritime Museum, South Haven Garden Club for making the effort to pay tribute to South Haven's Lighthouse Keepers. Our pier light is an iconic symbol of South Haven, but it's not there by itself. It needs somebody to help it. It needs somebody to tend the light, and therefore the light keeper. Try to imagine yourself in Lake Michigan. It's dark, you're cold, you're tired, you're hungry, and this is before global positioning systems. You have kind of an idea where you're at, but you're not really sure. And then you see the light off in the distance. It's the South Haven Lighthouse. And all of a sudden you get this feeling of safety, security. You realize that everything's going to be okay. That's the kind of feeling that the light keepers gave to us and to the weary mariners that were on Lake Michigan. It is that feeling of hope and safety that the light keepers delivered every day. I'm sure there were many days when they themselves were tired, cold. There were days I'm sure they would rather not brave the elements to tend to the light, but they knew people were counting on them, and so they did their job, because they could not let those people down. When I think about what that must have been like, I am inspired. To a certain extent, a lot of us are still trying to accomplish some of those same goals. We live our lives trying to bring light to dark areas. We try to be welcoming and try to send messages of hope and security. I would suggest that we use this time to remember the light keepers, but also to take the values that they demonstrated and apply it to our own lives and be keepers of our own light.
And now I'd like to invite you to come and join us over at Captain Bryan's gravesite for the next part of our ceremony.
The stories of the keepers are told everywhere. The dangers that they face, the hardships they did bear. But if you could ask them if they do it all again, they'd say this was a way of life for these dedicated men.
Well, Captain Donahue has the distinction of being the longest serving lighthouse keeper for South Haven's Lighthouse. Captain Donahue served for over 35 years, from 1874 to 1909. He was a Civil War veteran who lost a leg after the 1864 Battle of the Wilderness. An industrious man, during his time as lighthouse keeper, Captain Donahue started a boat rental service with his brother. He became involved in real estate and worked at the waterworks station in the pump house. Captain Donahue left detailed records of his time of service, which included accounts of extreme weather conditions under which he would still need to keep the light lit for passing ships and sailors coming home. Captain Donahue's headstone reflects his service in the Civil War, and I am pleased to add this handsome plaque for his service to South Haven. The words are on this side here, so maybe put it right on this corner.
Yeah.
For now. Here we go.
Let's pray. Holy Father, today we are greatly humbled by the life and service of Captain Donahue and all that came and all that was blessed, all that seen light because of the commitment to Captain Donahue for the service of his nation. God, thank you so much. Again, we're grateful for all that attended today, all that made this possible. We give you nothing but thanks and praise. In Christ's name, amen.
Thank the volunteers who helped out. And if you'd like to join us now, we're going over to the Lighthouse Keepers' house for ice cream. So thanks again for your time.
So thank you everyone for coming out tonight to the Remembering of the Keepers of the Light. Some of you were at the memorial service and then for the open house and ice cream social here today. So we just have a lovely view here, which is the exact same view that both our first lighthouse keeper, William P. Bryan, and also Captain Donahue, our longest serving lighthouse keeper, 35 years. They had the same exact view, so we are sitting right in the middle of history right now today. This home was built in 1872, and we invite you to come inside if you haven't already to check out what we're using it for now today. Which is where the Michigan Maritime Museum houses their archives and collections and their library.
March 18, 1885. At 8 p.m. I was home reading, and all at once the doors, both sides of the house, opened. In rushed 42 vessel owners and captains and mates and sailors. It was my birthday, being 45 years old. They filled the house full, no standing room. They brought our friend Crasso, and he opened the ball with a nice piece of poetry, and then presented me in behalf of the seamen of South Haven with a splendid badge and my name and date and lighthouse, anchor and spyglass and yacht engraved on the back. A splendid, nice present. I thanked them in my poor way. Then they sung a number of nice songs and left for home after giving me 3 rousing cheers such as sailors can give. It was one of the happiest evenings of my life.
Oh, Captain Donahue, the keeper of the light. Oh, how you kept it burning through the darkest deep of the night. For 35 years of faithful care, you brought us to safe harbor. Oh, Captain Donahue, will you rest in peace tonight?
It's a part of our history that will never return. A time when things were simpler, for those days, oh how I yearn. The stories of the keepers are told everywhere. The dangers that they faced, the hardships they did bear. do